He is a seasoned creator of LinkedIn Video, The Unlearned Show, and most recently, Real Life Brand. He has a strong passion for bringing ideas to life by enabling others to share their voice and passions. I'm delighted to welcome Sonny Tannan of Real Life Brand on SmallTalk. Sonny Tannan, welcome back to SmallTalk.
Thanks for having me back. I'm always appreciative to share information and help as I can.
So, Sonny, we're going to have an amazing conversation today. For those who don't know, Sonny Tannan is a seasoned creator of content. He is well known, I would suggest, in creating amazing video content, specifically on the LinkedIn social media channel. Go and check out his video journeys he has with his amazing son, Om, who at this point of filming would have turned 3 years old, but he acts like he's 6 or 7 years old. He's amazing, amazing conversation they have. They even created a journey when they went to the UK. So if you haven't seen any of Sonny's content, please go check him out under Sonny Tannan. And now the reason I've got Sonny back on the show, because we were talking off the air, and one of the things that people are certainly speaking with me about is not necessarily, getting challenged to hit that record button. I know, Sonny, the last segment we had with your amazing son, Om, you talked about just hit that record button and just get it done. And many people are doing that. I'm finding, though, that, Sonny, the gap is growing in terms of the next step, and that is content. Well, I don't have problem hitting the record button, but how do I find and generate the content? And Sonny, you're a big fan of 3. Can you share 3 insights, 3 best practices, 3 tips that people who are watching this can be motivated to now go to that next step of finding and creating some content?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thanks again for having me. And I think that, just in fairness to the audience, before we start, there are tons of ideas that are out there. So whatever I'm saying are by no means the 3 most important, or if we get to 5 or 7 or whatever. So I would just urge you to continue to look and research and examine other tips and ideas around content and content creation. But before we start about the ideas of content, I would say you have to figure out that we ask this of everybody, we meaning people that are either writing books, people that are creating videos, written content, blog posts, video podcasts. It's the why. So I think you have to first define your purpose or your why of what are you actually doing. So why are you doing it? Now, some characteristics of content. So just 3 highlights. First of all, it helps to build trust and credibility for both you as an individual or an organization. So keep that always front and foremost in your mind. You are basically taking a digital version of you. If it's written, if it's video, if it's audio, you are building trust and credibility. That is what your audience is gathering from you. You want to be able to have a call to action, right? So you want to lead them to something, even if it's something simple, to make them think about something differently. If you're selling a product, a service, whatever it might be, you want to drive them to a call to action. And this is probably one of the most difficult ones for brands to do, is they put out all this wonderful information about here's why we're good and here's why you should do business with us, but they don't always necessarily drive back to what that call to action, what that next step needs to be. And I think the other thing about content is that it's everything and anything. And you referenced what I do with my son. Not everybody's a parent. Not everybody wants to see a dad and his son interacting. Not everybody wants something inspirational or looking at, life's journeys. And so what I'm trying to share is that going back to that question of why, have a good sense of what you're trying to do for yourself, and then really take the time to research and put together some good thoughts before you ever put out some content. And so the 3 tips on content creation I'll give you, I'm a big fan of design thinking. And everything I'm sharing is what I've done. So it's not just saying, well, here's a book I read, here's something that I learned in school. It's stuff that I've been testing out for the last 8 months myself. So brainstorming and ideation, and then prototyping, and then testing. So what I would say is this, what I do for myself, so that ideation and brainstorming, I have a bunch of legal pads where I just jot notes down anytime I think about something. So it's if it's a theme, If it's something that's happened, it's just drafting those ideas. And then once they're down there, curating them and putting them into buckets. But most of the ideas I have, I mean, I don't want to sell myself short, but there's a lot of people already doing it. It's not anything that's probably extremely original. I actually like to keep my ideas kind of simple because that's the stuff that tends to resonate better based on my messaging. There's a lot of information overload today. So it's find out what it is that you want to do and pick that one idea and make that your content. Don't try to throw in too many different ideas into one piece of whatever it is that you're trying to share. So it's that ideation. Make sure that you're bucketing them or deciding what that kind of theme might be, which leads into the structure of what you do. So I think that for you, these creators or whoever it is that's out there that want to start, make sure that you have a really good idea of what that, you might hear like a content calendar or like a wireframe or a process. Make sure that you know and you have a very clear idea of what you want to actually put out there, because that ultimately leads to the third one, which is the testing part of it, is you can take that and then test it out there. That's the beauty of any social media platform out there today. You can put something out there and inevitably it's either going to resonate with some people, a lot of people, or no people. And so then at that point you test it and you see what works, you see what doesn't work, and then you continue to refine it. And that's, once again, I'm speaking from what I've done with my own videos. So the example I'll give is this. The first videos I put out with my son were just simple interactions. It was just recording something that happened. It was almost by seat of the pants. I was like, oh, this looks like a really cool thing that's going to happen. And then we would just hit record. Where we've now refined to, for instance, in our latest videos, is now we have very focused in, so focus, collaboration, inspiration. So we very much focused in on what 3 things we want people to get out of our videos. And then our call to action is we typically ask either a question, and at the very least, we show gratitude to both the LinkedIn and Microsoft families that have given this opportunity. So we make sure that there's a component of either a call to action or just the gratefulness. So I know that's a lot of information I've thrown out there, but at the end of the day, if you're just not quite too sure what you want to do, pick up a pen and paper, jot down what it is that you want to talk about and think about it, and then actually role play it out. Like just pretend like you were going to record a video, you're going to write something out, and then ask yourself, would I watch that or would I read that? And then if you tell yourself, nope, then you probably need to rethink what you're doing.
Wow. And now the cool thing about this show is you can hit rewind or go all the way back to a certain part that resonated with you with Sonny and just jot these notes down. I love all the insights that you provided here, Sonny. So please, we've got his contact information there. So here's our call to action always is, let's continue this conversation. The whole element of small talk is we're celebrating the art of the conversation. We're starting conversation. So if you want to continue that, we've provided Sonny's contact information. Please reach out. Any questions you have or you want to continue with maybe one of his thoughts, feel free to do so. Now, one of the things that we finally ask at the end of our show, Sonny, with all of our first-time guests, if you had a opportunity to have a small talk conversation with anyone living or past, who would it be?
So a living person that I would love to sit down and have, I have no doubt it would be more than a small talk,
Okay.
would be Barack Obama. And I actually would add Michelle to that because I know that the two of them have done so much for, so I'm in the US, so they've done so much for the country in terms of just changing the spirit and the way that things are seen and done. And they continue to do so. The non-living one would be my dad's dad, so my grandfather. And so the little backstory behind it is every person that I've ever met or shared a story about him has always been, there's been no negative story about him. And I'm not saying he's perfect, but the fact of that is that the memory of my grandfather was that people would say he would take his shirt off the back and give it to you. You know, he would do anything to support the needs of his family. It was always family first.
Incredibly amazing, folks. Sonny Tannan, he's a seasoned LinkedIn creator. He also runs a company called Real Brand, and he's a co-host of an amazing show called The Unlearned Show. So please check out that show also and check him out on LinkedIn. Sonny, it's always a pleasure. It's amazing to have you on Small Talk, and thank you again for coming back on. And folks, if you haven't seen the first one, please go and take a look at the first one with his wonderful son, Om. It was an amazing conversation we had. So I really appreciate you doing that for us. And thank you again. And I'm sure we'll see you very, very soon.
My pleasure. Thanks, Javed.
Thank you to Sonny Tannan of Real Life Brand for joining me on Small Talk. You can also listen to the show as part of our podcast series. Now it's your turn. Please comment, subscribe, and share. If you've got a topic you'd like to discuss on the show, please give me a call or send me an email. We'll talk with you next time.